What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? I'm going to go ahead and talk about this. It seems that Microsoft is announcing that they are planning to make a next Xbox being made with the input of Japanese developers called the Xbox Scarlet. Now, a lot of people are talking about this system. For some reason, they believe that this would probably compete in the Japanese market. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the history of Microsoft, and you decide whether or not this is true or not. Now, I remembered back in the days when they originally released the Xbox, the original Xbox, mind you, it didn't sell that well in Japan because it was big and bulky. It couldn't really fit in micronized apartments that Japanese people have. Now, you have to understand, in Japan, it's a totally different culture, and it's pretty much the fact that even though the system had great graphics, it had a hard drive, it had everything that you would want in the system, but it wasn't very convenient for Japanese people because the only thing that sold well in Japan was the PlayStation 2. That had better features. It could stand up vertically and you could play a game on it. You can put a disc in and it'll just play. Same with the fact that it also had a DVD player and you could play that too. The fact that this system was very popular in the US, it wasn't very popular in Japan for some reason. So Microsoft decided to address the issue by making another system happen, which was the Xbox 360. And the Xbox 360 also failed in that country as well. And it turned out that because of the fact that the Red Ring of Death happened. Now, you may recall the Red Ring of Death was a big problem with the Xbox 360 back in the days. And because the big failure rate that happened with that system, with its overheating and everything, a lot of Japanese didn't want to buy that system anyways because, well, it just didn't. They felt ripped off behind that whole issue with Microsoft. Now, they introduced the Xbox 360, and a lot of people distrust that as well because the whole camera, always on 24/7 thing, it kind of caused a big mess with the Japanese. And they also were kind of surprised that it was also a big, bulky system. And it wasn't really a big selling point for Xbox either. Because a lot of people really didn't like the Xbox One, even though, as you can see right here, the sales charts in Japan, it isn't even doing so well either. The biggest seller is PlayStation, and right now it's also the Nintendo Switch. And it doesn't really help much that Microsoft right now is only selling at 37 million a console. And that's a bad thing for them. They've been trying so hard to market the system in Japan so many times. It's ridiculous. And they have tried in the past to market the system that they couldn't really stand a chance against Sony's PlayStation. Now, the thing about this is that they're making a new console with the feedback of the Japanese developers who may have made games for them in the past, especially Blue Dragon and other similar games. Now, this is pretty much going to be an interesting take on what they're going to do with this next generation system with the help of Japanese developers, in hopes to, get feedback from them to understand the Japanese market really well. Because their biggest problem is Japan, and they want to compete in Japan in hopes that the Japanese would love their system because they really want a really big, good relationship with Japan. But considering in the past, they have done things that were kind of shady, and the Japanese have an issue with trusting Microsoft in hopes that they can buy their system. Sure, there are a lot of people that want really good games on the Xbox One, but at the same time, it doesn't sell well in Japan. Let's face it, $796 a month isn't good enough for Microsoft. And they have tried over the years to market their system in Japan, but the biggest problem is, well, let's face it, it's not going to work well. they're going to try to go with, they're going to probably jump ship from the Xbox One and then put it into the next generation system, which is the Xbox Scarlet, in hopes to sell their consoles to the masses in Japan. And this is something that surprises me about this. I just hope Microsoft learned their lesson from their last system, and hopefully they could probably compete in the Japanese market with this system, because this is the biggest focus. They want Japanese developers to make games on their system, because in the past they have tried to attract them with the Xbox 360, and it was easier to develop on that system, but they decided to go over to the PlayStation because, let's face it, they offered money too. As far as I know, this is pretty interesting enough that they're going to try to bring out the Xbox Scarlet, which some people say that the next generation will be the last generation, but it turns out there's going to be a 10th generation this time, and this is going to be an interesting battle to see who will bring out the best system out there, especially Nintendo. They just brought out their current console, which is the Nintendo Switch, and already it's selling pretty well for itself for a handheld slash console, which is a hybrid. And I don't blame Nintendo. They actually did a pretty good job with that system. Now Sony is also coming out with a new system, and it's rumored that they're going to bring out with backwards compatibility. And the question is, will this also have backwards compatibility in the near future? I hope that Microsoft will consider this, because a lot of people would like to see it play Xbox One, Xbox 360 games, Xbox, in the original Xbox, can it play those too? And that's the biggest question. Will PlayStation also do this as well with PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2 games, PlayStation 3? Will this actually have backwards compatibility? That's what I'm hoping for this new system, because Microsoft's selling point right now is that they can play Xbox 360 games on the Xbox One. And I hope this would come out pretty well, because I want to see them compete in the market. I do like to see if Microsoft can really pull this off in Japan, because they have in the past didn't sell very well with their old consoles that they had back generations back. And you have to understand, they tried to compete but failed every time. Will this new system definitely compete? I don't know. We'll see in the near future. Anyways, guys, leave your thoughts down below and tell me what you think. I'll link down the articles down below, and you can decide for yourself what's going on with what they're going to do with this next generation console for Xbox. Anyways, guys, I gotta go. Bye-bye.